Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Terrace Redevelopment Fundraising Committee. Which is Monday, October 16th, and order at 4:34. And I have approval of the agenda. Taking a motion to approve the agenda. Jane moves. And one second. Anything to add or change to the agenda?
I just wonder if it's possible to have specific. I just wondered if it's possible to have a list of specific items that we're still looking to add. Might be some donors would like to do something like that.
Let's put that under strategy, current strategy. Any other additions or changes to the agenda? The agenda as modified, all in favor? Yes. Next, we have the adoption of minutes. That's from our meeting, September 14. Any errors or omissions? Anyone else, you want to move the minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, and someone to second? Sarah? Errors or omissions? On the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? No. Any disclosure of interest? We don't have a valuation today. So we'll move directly into the report. The main report we have today is from the Financial Services Treasurer for the information update. Jennifer, welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You to the committee. At this time, I'd like to report that the total funds raised after expenses on the September 14th report was $320,000. And as of October 15th, the funds raised after expenses totaled $214,82. The overall fundraising total has decreased by $5,634 since the last report. This is mainly due to the purchase of some funds using items by the community and their installment. The increase to the donations on page 2 resulted from some of the sales of the chocolates that were done and some other donations, as well as offset by some of the expenses related to that campaign. In total, last report we had 62% of the overall being total raised, and I would say so just to clarify, the 6,000 for things that were purchased has been removed from the percentage of funds that we collected. Is that's why it's not given? We have sure to the actual fundraising amount that has been raised to date is 350,000. The expenses are 36,000. So it has been taken out of the amount that we paid for.
So in fact, so the total raise has increased, which is why it's showing an increase in that percentage. We went from 62 to 63 because we did raise money since.
That's around 53.
Okay, okay, sorry, 61.
Okay, okay,
By 1%, that's to the goal. But yeah, so if I can clarify further, then one of the new items, I think, that must be the last one, were purchases of items. So, which makes it look like, the statement here says the overall fundraising total has decreased. But that's because we started purchasing items that were on the wish list. So the comprehensive home catalog, here's, we're starting to show items that have been purchased. Any comments? Jen?
So if I may, Madam, I think it might be clear for the committee if it perhaps those types of things were provided on a separate report, that perhaps I could work with Michelle's team, and then we could bring that forward as a good news story. I can take that off and do that for you and make that more able to.
Comments on that?
Maybe you're right, but I think I'm here, upgrade $314,582. But I thought I heard you say $250,000.
That is correct, yes.
I'm a Belmont, maybe.
It's obvious.
On the far side of your report, it says grand total on the very top under donations. The total donations to date is 350,000
That's on page 2.
on page 2.
Okay, two. Okay,
And then at the next level is the total expenses, which is 36,000. So the net of the two is 314. We still have increased the number of donations that have come in. It's just that we have spent some of those donations towards things that people had ordering.
One thing that's 30,000.
So it is more clear if we first provide another report that separate.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion, because I could see, this would be the actual campaign's financial report. So the campaign is, money received and money going out for expenses related to the campaign. Like when we buy, or chocolates. And then the other one is almost like a report to the donor, where going from the total donation received, starting to show from that wish list, the items that we were able to purchase and that are being enjoyed already. So I think that will, as you said, that would be a good news, and also good, show good transparency to the donors, and have some foundation, for example, who have requested that we share some of the items that were purchased. And so that, yeah, so it's almost like two completely separate reports, but same one. Going from, one type of accounting to another type of reporting. Yeah. Any other questions or comments on the reports? We have room to meet on 1%, but that is good news. Let's start with one sector to receive the report. The federal recommendation for future separate report. Jamie moved. Sarah second. Further discussion and comments? All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, next on the agenda is business horizon. So we have a number of action items that came from our September meeting. We'll start with the Jennifer. We'll start with the United Church. So I did receive an update that on one hand, the United Church has moved the dates, and they're also separating their luncheon and their bazaar. So those are going to be on separate dates. They also wanted to share with us that there's also been put up a channel for understanding board and having to reconsider the majority. And so for this year, we will not be able to dedicate all of the funds, the fundraising of those two events to Terrace. So we apologize for that. We have to reconsider and consider their own budget first. And I told them for sure we appreciate that, charity starts at home. And they have to ensure the well-being of their own organization before they look after others. So, by all means, please participate and support. I think that it's moved to November 12th. She'll send the dates once it's confirmed, but there'll be a luncheon that was on. We're all one community, so we help them, and maybe another time they'll be in a position to help us. And we'll go from there. So there's nothing specific requested from the party on the committee at this time. That's that update. The second update, we at the last meeting we considered the large sign that was outside the Terrace Lodge that is starting to grow age. I guess 3 years old is really old when you're a son. So McBain had offered to help us refurbish it for a little bit of money. The committee asked that we consult with council, with staff, I guess with the redevelopment steering committee to see if it was about $450 that was needed to refurbish the sign. And as of last week, we have received approval for that. So much, very grateful to the steering committee who's been able to confirm that those funds are available. So I have put staff in touch with the contact with McBain who have given us the quote, and we expect that they would look after the refurbishing of the sign. We'll fill the 2022 part and part of the 2023 part. And once it's ready, I know last month we considered doing maybe like a reboot, maybe when we were ready to perhaps launch the Christmas campaign, and we can take a photo again and start using the sign again. A good visual for that. So, any questions or comments? I'm very grateful. Shall we pass on our recognition to the steering committee? Next, we're different communication strategies and materials we wanted to make sure we're available. So I'm not sure if everybody saw that we now have a Facebook page. So the Conference of Home has its own Facebook page. Yay! It looks great. Thank you, Dana and Jessica. So yes, so please follow, like, share. And I think that will be very helpful for the next few months.
How many likes and shares do we have so far? I can look that up quickly. Just give me a moment.
The other item we had discussed, and that I was supposed to work on that. I was just frustrated that I spent more time searching for the draft because I know I did that last night instead of just giving up and just write. So that's almost done. And basically what I'm going to suggest is that we also send, like we did last year, almost at this time. We sent to all the community donors, we sent the annual report and a reminder that if we wanted to donate again this year, it was still time to get a tax receipt. So I'm going to suggest we use this format. We'll send, if you agree, my suggestion would be the same as we did last year. It's send to all the 2023 donors. Send them the annual report. And with an invitation to all, right, so individual email through their email address, if we have their email contact. But then if you want to follow up, then each of us can follow up, so that will be more of a generic email, so all 2023. And for basically the message in the email, we can just leave it on. Think about it. we can each customize for, I say all, did I say all of that off of microphone? I'm so sorry. That's why you weren't here. You can see my hand talking. So let me repeat the item. If you hear about the Facebook page, were we on when we were talking about the Facebook page? Yes. And we have a live update.
So the page only has 9 likes and 11 followers so far. So I think it's up to the committee to get sharing and that's, yeah. Email out the Facebook link to people that you know, past donors.
Perfect. Okay. So share and like many times.
Is
Yeah.
there a spot on the page where you can put like people to the page?
I believe so, yes, I can send out instructions for that.
Like, yeah, everyone else.
Just a note on the Facebook page that when you comment on somebody's like and share, if you comment on those, it boosts it back up to the page. That's how the algorithms for Facebook work. So it's a good strategy if you see each other putting on there to make a comment, because it boosts it back up on the page.
Yeah, thank you. Then the other item I was saying, I was talking about Mike was around the letters to previous donors. So that is coming, and so my suggestion to the committee is that we send an email to all donors from 2022, for whom we have an email address, with the annual report, with the reminder that the campaign is still ongoing. And so in that last year, when we did this email, we sent this sneak peek video. Maybe this year we use that email to send the Facebook page link, as well as the list of items that remain. So we'll get to that. And say, you know, there's still a few months left to get the 2023 tax receipt if they wish to donate again. So we will work on gathering the email list from all 2022 donors. And then I'll make sure I'll create a letter, just copy and paste that message into a letter that I'll send to the community members that we can customize to send to specific donors. If you want to drop it off or email it, just a personalized or mail it with a note, a personalized note, so that letter will be available. And I'll make sure also that you have a copy of the annual report or anything else you wish to send. So those, we had basically, I think we sent those in May to the community members. So it's a wish list as well as the annual report. I think I'll resend that. We can relabel the wish list to be updated, because I think the last wish list sort of referred to spring items and that will be ready to go. Just really later this week. The other action item from the last meeting was the video and article with EdBook. So I don't know if you had a chance to at least see, we did do a photo of the check, the $50,000 donation from EdBook. So that made it on the first post on our brand new Facebook page. And while we were with them, Jessica did the interview, and we're able to do a video. We're able to show the premiere, a world premiere of the promo video.
Good afternoon, I'm Etienne Borm, and this is my wife Heather Borm, and we are the proud owners of Tool and Die. We've been located in Elmer, Ontario, in Elgin County since 1958, when my family immigrated from Belgium. We're proud to donate this sum of money to Terrace Lodge. We think it's an extremely worthy cause for the community, and it's a way for us to share and give back to the community that was so good for us and my parents and our family. I think Terrace Lodge will touch and become part of our lives for all of us at some point in our life, whether it's swimming lessons or whether it's dealing with an aged parent. And I think it's an extremely worthy cause, and it's up to business leaders like ourselves and leaders in the community to support each other in the community and give back in a way that continues to foster the giving that was started years ago by our forefathers. So we all have to do our part to set up the next generation for success. So we think this is really a worthy cause, and we are super proud to be part of it. All the best to Terrace Lodge, and please donate.
Okay, so there you go. First view of the video that, so I suggest we could send that also with the donor thing to it, instead of the last year we had the sneak peek of phase 1. So this could be, we could include this video of the donor email and as a reminder of why donate, and then we don't get a chance to donate right? And we can start promoting it on our Facebook page and do lots of likes and share. But yeah, so thank you for doing that. It brings the campaign to life, and we were very, very gracious and generous of their time. Attended this in one take, totally improvised. This was not scripted, and just did it once and say, yeah, this is perfect. It came from the heart and not rehearsed, and just I guess from the heart. So it worked. Comments or questions? Sarah.
It was really well done. It's an excellent testimony to what the whole fundraising campaign is about. And it's really good. Yes. So
That's very fortunate. And we did also submit, the Elmer Express is working on the local business edition. And so we did submit an article profiling their business as well as their donation. So we submitted it, and so that's what they have room for included. So that's in the works as well. Now, if it doesn't appear in the edition, we can use it ourselves in our own publication or other publications, and then happy to continue to profile their business as well as their link and their contributions are needed. So there, so these are a few updates. So it's been a very productive 2 weeks. Amazing how quickly 4 weeks go by. So but lots got done. I don't think there's any resolution for that section, just updates. At the last meeting, so we can move to the next section, fundraising strategies. So you recall we brainstormed a number of strategies and different. Yes.
We're going to deal with the item.
Yes, part of the strategies.
Strategy. Okay,
I've got it under an 8.3.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, so different fundraising strategies were brainstormed, and different committee members chose to, or we're going to look into different options as different strategies that we can implement in the next few months. So we'll start with the chocolate sales. Wendy, do you want to provide an update where we're at?
So I haven't done anything more with the chocolates in our area. The campaign that's presently going for the schools is finished on the 18th. So we have another couple of days. And then Sarah, she's been so patient with me. I haven't gotten the chocolates over to her yet. I have 5 boxes for her to start the next round of the campaign in terms of getting them over to Aylmer. I checked with the Aylmer schools, Springfield School, There were 2 in Aylmer and 1 in Springfield, and none of them have any chocolate competitions going or campaigns going that'll be competitive to us until January. So we're fine to start it over there now. And that's about it. I have a full box here that I'll be getting out into the place to 5 to Sarah, and then I'll come over to Elgin and fill the boxes there. And I guess I have 4 out here to fill as well, and Jamie, who keeps this going.
Okay, that's great. Thank you again for all the work you're doing. Do you need anything else from the committee? Any other
don't-
support? You've got it all under control.
I think we're okay, except I'm wondering, maybe I'll touch base with Jim to see if, I think Sarah's going to do a lot of her area. I don't know if that crosses over with Jim.
We're fairly close together.
Okay.
About 10 minutes apart or less, so.
Okay. Thank you. Then I'll just go into Aylmer, and Jamie has one store, and then I'll go to a few more. So hopefully we'll get them all out there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, the next, so 8.2, under 8.2, we have a number of strategies and suggestions that we are looking to see. And Jamie, you're looking into the black tie. Yeah.
So I think personally, I've looked into a couple of venues. One of them hasn't got back to me yet, but and then food, we're kind of just in the beginning phases and trying to figure out what we can be feasible. Anyway, I have a potential sponsor, so Dominique and I are going to meet with them next week, and so I'd rather not say too much until we speak with them, because if they agree, then it could be quite the event. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, and perhaps under, we talk about, when we go to close meeting items, under donor outreach, so I'll wait in case there's, help needed from the committee. Okay, thank you. We also talked about the Santa Claus parade, the Santa Claus parade was, I know, looking into that. Michelle, you want to provide an update on her behalf, please?
Thank you through the Madam Chair to the committee. So Tanya wasn't able to be here this afternoon, but she did send a bit of information. So at the home level, Tanya has been discussing this potential with the recreation team to see if it's feasible. And so there is still a potential that for this event and with the assistance of students to decorate their floats. So she will provide additional detail when she has more information.
To be continued. And we're kind of also working on the ornaments. Potential.
That may have been Tanya, but she did not provide an update from the ornaments unless Ashley had information to share on that.
Sorry, can you just repeat that? I couldn't hear the whole question.
Did you have any update on Christmas ornaments?
On the which, sorry?
The Christmas ornaments?
Oh, no, I didn't get one from Tanya, sorry.
No problem.
And I wasn't sure, I know there were different ideas that were mentioned around that, so I can't remember specifically what the action item was, or the potential idea, so yeah, just we do a follow-up. There's still a little bit of time before Christmas. There was also the potential of a reading of these hymns at the library. Did she provide an update on that?
Yeah, being chair to the committee. So Tanya, unfortunately, we don't have many books left. So she's getting a quote on providing for additional book prints, so both hard and soft copies. So it's definitely a viable option because depending on the cost of the books, but hopefully they're reasonable and that's something that we can do. And certainly the readings are very beautiful, so I think it would attract individuals to attend to stay potentially purchase book, so it's a good idea. We also have a cooperative students at Terrace Lodge right now who's working on creating an ebook version of these events.
That's great, yes, that one too is a very much a viable and nice idea, so worth pursuing. On the approach, that's great, so we'll leave that with Tanya again. The sticker and seal, I think there was a decision to move ahead with that. I wasn't sure if there was a specific follow-up that was, I think Tanya may have suggested to bring a design back to the committee for consideration.
No
No
information on that.
correct? So we'll follow up later. Were there any updates from Tanya? Did I cover everything?
She did share that there's going to be a tree lighting memorial service at Terrace Lodge on Tuesday, November 7th at 6 p.m. And potentially we could include comforts and home information at that event. And they're going to do a pre-recorded video for the community. Could also include information at that time as well.
And what was the date? Did you mention a date?
Tuesday, November 7th at 6 p.m.
Okay, so if there's anything she needs from the campaign, and we still have lots of different materials and the coloring kits and the magnets, bookmarks. So if that she wants to make those materials available, I think that is doable. Just let us know.
Okay, I'll pass that information on. Thank you.
Thank you. The murder mystery event. That Wendy, were you going to look into that as a potential idea? Do you have an update?
I have a bit of an update. I don't have a proposal to present. There's quite a vast difference in the costs. When I look at a hall in Aylmer, it was $1,092 for the complex, which accommodates 400 people. To I believe the one in Malahide was 1,000 even, and then HST. And it accommodates about 200, I believe he told me today, to sit. And then so the other one is, on top of that, we also have the license for alcohol we would have to get. And I was averaging $30 a plate for food. And then looking at the license, I think it's $125, and the insurance goes anywhere between $200 and $500. So I've started to put together prices in terms of what we can make. There's a vast difference between the 400 and the 200 in looking at both the costs, but the outcome. And I didn't know how easy it would be to sell 400 tickets. So essentially the murder mystery is, it's pretty enthusiastic and energetic that we have to be with it, because we have to look at, actually, there's a vast range of getting you can either buy a kit for 200 or 300 from England, USA, or we can get the gentleman that had the Aylmer Theatre, Mr. Sawyer, to write something like he did for the most recent one, which could be between 500 to 1,000, depending on what. So the potential is anywhere from, in terms of making money, anywhere from about $6,000 to $10,000. But again, it comes with how much we spend in food, how much we spend in, how many tickets we really sell is the big thing. So I needed input in terms of how do tickets sell in Aylmer? Do you fill halls with 400 people? And how easily? Perhaps I can explain a little better in terms of the murder mystery, just so you're aware. So the murder mystery is people that are schooled or told, explained that they have a character. They assume the role of the character, and they would sit at each of the tables to help people become familiar with them and kind of circulate so people know that they are that character. There's always the one that ends up killing the person, but you don't find that out till the end. The characters are usually quite humorous, and it's a play on words a lot of times. And you always have the sort of the narrator telling the story, whether that's, it can be a speaker going around and explaining it, or people do it in different ways. But the excitement is that you get people very involved in terms of who did it. And then there's usually a prize for people that have selected the right ones. So that's sort of what the murder mystery is. And the dinner, the benefit of the dinner is you can do it throughout the entire dinner. Some do a dance after, some don't. So we would have the profits of the bar, or the proceeds from the bar, and we'd have the ticket proceeds. But if we do the proceeds from a bar, then we're looking at paying for people with safe serve to be the bartenders and take the responsibility. The other spectrum, was the little hall here in Vienna is $325, the Lions Hall across the road from us, and it accommodates I believe 200 on the upper floor. So that there's a big difference between the costs and how much we can make. And I just wondered, does 200 tickets, would that sell in Vienna versus could we sell 400 in Aylmer?
Anybody wish to comment on past experience in different events or similar events that have taken place? Did the museum, the Malahide Museum, run one recently? Jamie?
The museum did one recently and they held it at the Legion.
Do you know how many attended?
I think there was 100. I think that 400 is a very big number for our area.
Okay. I was at the museum. I attended that one just to see what the presentation was like and how many people attended. And it was really good. It was a nice night. Your ticket sales would probably, in this area, if it was something like a little hall. I also looked at the Saxonian Hall, which I think is also large in Aylmer. But I didn't get the price for it. I don't know how much it is, if anyone knows. I was waiting for a call back. But the difference is probably between 4,000 and 5,000 going 400 versus 200 when you look at the lower costs of a ticket for a 200 group versus a cost of a more expensive meal and a 400 group. So you're saying the 200 safer. Okay.
Attendees, yeah.
Yeah, 100, like 150, but I think 400 is you're gonna have to really work hard to do 400.
Okay. Thank you. That helps a lot.
And would it be possible to find out then just from other, not at this meeting, but from others who have run the event in the past year, so that just if you have a contact with those organizations to find out, so what was the total cost and what was the total revenue? So what is in the end the donation that goes to the, in our case, like to the comforts of home?
The only concern I have is if it's 200 or 250, we're looking at, because Malahide, I thought Malahide might be a wee bit less, like I wasn't anticipating $1,000. So if we're looking at a low cost, I appreciate that they have to pay for that hall, that makes sense. But if we look at the lower cost, Stratfordville and Vienna are lower costs, but then we're getting into transportation issues, because if people want to have drinks, will they come from Aylmer to a small community here to attend a murder mystery? And will it be as lucrative at the end, or will we have as much money left in the end? I don't know. I do know that they get about 150, 170 people for dances. And so I do beg your pardon. So I'm not quite sure. Does anyone know what the Saxonian costs?
No, I don't think anyone knows offhand.
Okay, so I'll look into that cost. And does anyone have a feeling in terms of coming out to a smaller community like Vienna or Stratfordville?
Any thoughts on that from the committee? Sarah?
I think it depends on the age of the attendees. Because I know that for the Optimist Club in Dorchester, the euchre nights that they have to, they have limited attendance because of the fact that there's so many who are older who don't drive at night. So there's different considerations than maybe the alcohol consumption.
So they would have to figure out who the potential audience is, and sometimes even if an afternoon event is more appropriate with a luncheon instead of a full dinner with bar and stuff. But again, I don't know, Wendy, if as part of your task, if you could look into the organizers of previous events, similar events in the area in the past year. And just to see what their lessons learned are. And if they're willing to share what the outcome was.
The only one I can think of that has had a murder mystery is the Aylmer one that I went to, because I haven't found any around here that to compare to. And the other ones that I've attended have been very large, but they're in very big centers too, like Cambridge and Grimsby. But I'll try my best to figure it out.
Okay, so we'll do a little bit more investigation and feasibility just to see what the total cost is. I mean, it's amazing, even food. So that's why, like, even if the Aylmer Malahide Museum is willing to share numbers or another similar, just to get some actual costs, because I think because it's still fuzzy right now for my head, what the total cost would be, and then how many tickets we would have to sell for, like, for $20, for 40 or 50, like, I don't know what the cost of the tickets are, so that has an impact too, and then what the outcome, what the profit would be essentially for the campaign. So I think, because in the end, the deciding factor will be that cost benefit, because as you know, it's a lot of work, so we have to make sure that there's good return on the investment. And especially if it's something that is not related to comforts of homes specifically. So for example, a murder mystery, I would like to think is not at all related to a long-term care home, but it's fun. And so that way, so if it has a high return, then I think that's a good reason for doing it. If it's a lower return, then we'd have to look. I would think that our criteria has to be that it promotes something about the campaign, something that is, connected. So at the gala, for example, we had these cans, we were promoting the book, and it was in conjunction with other presentations that were tied in. So then I can see maybe a lower return, although we did, as you know, very well. I think for the over $20,000 that was raised net. So, and in addition, there was involvement that was tied to the residents' Terrace Lodge. So something to keep in mind. I think all ideas are worth exploring, and then we can, once we have detailed information, we can weigh all of the different factors. So thank you for getting that idea started, and we'll explore it further. Sounds good. So were there any other strategies we were exploring? I think those were the only ones that are captured in the minutes, but is there anything else? I don't think there was, because we have excellent minutes. So thank you. So we can talk about the wish list. So there is one, so the last one we circulated was for the spring. So we can do that again. So Jim, is this a list that would be more for you? Like, we have a list, it's not, pretty in terms of like a marketing document, but it's more of a reference. It's literally a list. It looks like a list.
Yeah, I'll
Would that be beneficial?
Where this comes from, what a local church has, what might be, they might be able to contribute towards, so if we have a list, then we can go with that, they give suggestions, I think, ask me, would you like to support this item? Would you give us money?
Yeah.
I think there's a different focus that people have.
Yes, for sure. That's exactly why we designed the campaign that way, right? So it's more concrete. So the website should be, is up to date as far, I think we just changed there was a reference to spring, I think we changed it to fall. So feel free to send your potential donors there, and I'll recirculate the list again with, and then so there's an item that captures their interest more. But Sarah?
Thank you. So when I take the chocolates to some of the businesses in Belmont, having something that looks pretty to say, this is who we are, this is what we're looking to have supported, so that they, yes, they're gonna have chocolates on their front entry, but this gives them something else to consider as supporting us. And having it so it doesn't look like functional, it's more pretty. It may encourage more giving.
So you're thinking almost like a mini catalog, like we could get it printed and so the little catalog would be a takeaway, or it would sit there with the box?
I was thinking more specifically for the business, but even it could just be like a little teaser, like a little postcard, and say, these are some of the things you could support. Because really, who wants another stack of paper? But just something that's tangible that they can go, oh, and then here I can go look and see what else I could get, because these don't really fit, or these are awesome, but maybe I would more.
Okay, so a little postcard with maybe 3-4 items and then like a bit of a teaser saying, and for more ideas, go to or donate to Terrace Lodge. So yeah, we could probably refresh something, Jim.
So that is on our website, then, is it the items that we still wish to,
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and we can have another look to if it needs to be refreshed a little bit. But I think what is there last time I checked was still fairly up to date.
Thank you.
Okay, so why don't we look into perhaps with Jessica's magic again? Maybe a postcard, so it's slightly different. We can always, you think some of the stores also might want to keep a few brochures on hand that is about the campaign. I can make sure that everybody has brochures, we still have some, but
I think it would be handy when we're going to visit places that we have a brochure, because then it gives us more credibility to say, we're not just here for the money, but we want you to partner with us in this project.
right.
And here's something that we can show you that gives us good faith.
Yes. So to that end, do all committee members have brochures still? You still have a few? No? Okay, so we'll make sure that. And I know there's still a box lying around. Wendy,
I just brought this to, I'm not sure that we even showed this, but this is what it looks like. There's the mint smoothie at the top, and then the $4 in fundraising for Terrace Lodge. And at the bottom is our site, donate to terracelodge.ca. So that's what the brochure itself, or the piece of paper actually on the top of the box looks like. And then it's filled with the goodies, and this is the money box that they put it in. So it's a small space.
yes, that looks great.
It's just that the one thing I have learned is that people don't want anything too big on their counters, that we're fighting for space of other things on the counters.
Right. that looks good. So then if there were, they could always tuck in a few postcards if somebody wanted to take away with the chocolate. And then if they wanted to, just in case you don't remember the web address after the sugar induced coma. Okay, nice. So we'll see if, we'll get a quote on just a few postcards being printed and then just a fresh material, but I want to make sure then. Would you like, how would you like to get brochures? Do you wait to the next meeting? I can bring the boxes here, or is that too late? Because we can have it at the county, make sure that Jenna has a stash of brochures if you want to come to the county office and then pick up a stack of different materials. Wendy, did I see your hand?
Yes, please. If Sarah wants to have them with her boxes, I can pick a bunch up on Wednesday to make sure that they're with the boxes, that you can have them, Sarah, if you want me to do that. So they go out with the box. Is that what you wanted to do?
It's easier if it all goes at one time rather than continually popping back in, because then it kind of gets away from the whole professional aspect of the delivery. So if it all came at once, that would be better.
Postcards, yeah, right, okay.
So would Wednesday be too soon?
I told people that they'd be out for a month, so, then there's a time frame for them to expect, and they aren't expecting it like anytime, like soon, so whenever it's available.
So I guess I would turn to Jenna. If whenever you think they'd be available, then I'll make that, I'll pick them up, or is that someone else?
Or is that critical? I'm just wondering, I don't know if I want to hold up the sale of the chocolate by not having the postcard. I can make sure at least that you have brochures. If you want to deliver like one brochure for the store owner so that I agree with you, then it looks professional, and it's like one kit. And then another phase, I think having the postcard would be handy to potential donors, just a quick refresher. It's not as cumbersome as a full brochure, right? Okay, so I would say proceed as planned, Wendy.
Okay. Can I please pick up some brochures then, if I come to the office? Is that okay?
Make sure, I'll bring some. So I'll make sure there's different, what I can do. I think even at the beginning of the campaign, everybody had a Ziploc bag with a bunch of goodies. So I think it's time to repeat that. So all committee members will have some materials available. Amaryllis, are you coming in this area, or should I send something through your mayor?
Yeah, or you could even, you could send it with Jess Silcox, because she's my neighbor, so I could pop around and pick something up from her. I'm sure she'd be fine with that.
Love it, perfect. We'll do that. I'll make sure one kit gets delivered to you. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, Wendy, when you drop off my chocolates, can you drop off the brochures as well? Yep.
So if I pick up 3 then for Jenna, Sarah, and me, is that right? The package or whatever, or just the brochures?
I'll send kits you can pick up kits, and she's been I'm thinking Wendy, you'll see Sarah first. Okay, so you can pick one for Jamie, one for Sarah, and one for Teresa.
And do you want me to pop one in for Sarah to give to Jim? Would that be helpful?
There you go, perfect.
Okay.
Coordinated delivery, perfect, logistics, that's what we do. Okay, and would that address your wish for a wish list, Jim?
Yeah, it's more, what I'm thinking of is going to a group and saying, yeah, here's a list of things that we like, just printed out from that webpage would probably be more than adequate for what I do want.
Yeah, I think we have a PDF version, so I'll make sure there's also a page in your kit, so you don't have it as a cheat sheet. Perfect, thank you for that. Okay, any new strategies that anyone wants to suggest we explore at this stage, or we just stick with the ones we have for now? Michelle?
I haven't had a chance to talk to Tanya about this because, but I think you may be potentially an on-site at Terrace Lodge, silent auction. Might be an option. We've done that over the years through resident council, so we would need to talk to residents. So they do it as a fundraiser for something specific, but they may be already planning something. I need to check to see if they're planning for this year or not, and if not, if that's something they would consider and allowing the monies raised to go to the campaign. So that's an option, certainly. We can all work together to get some items. That's an option. So if that's of interest, then I can put that back to Tanya and work on that.
Thoughts from the committee and maybe willingness to find an item or two to contribute to the silent auction? Yeah, and Melissa says yes. Sarah?
That sounds like perfect
Yeah.
thing to have residents be part of their own process.
Yeah, great suggestion, so definitely support from the committee, so if we can help, let us know.
Great, we'll do. I'll take it to the next resident council and then we can email if it's go.
Okay, any correspondence? No. We'll proceed to the closed meeting items. We have a resolution for that.
Be it resolved that we do now proceed into closed meeting session in accordance with the municipal act to discuss the following for the municipal act section 239(2). With meeting item number 1, donor outreach update, section 239(2)(b).
Thank you. We have a mover and seconder. Jim moves, Sarah seconds, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. We'll just take. Okay, and we're now ready to come out of closed session. We have the resolution.
Be it resolved that we do now rise in report and that the confidential donor outreach update be received for information.
Mover and seconder. Jamie and Sarah, all in favor? And that's carried. And the date of the next meeting. Everybody has their calendar. And should we look at about a month from now would be perhaps November 13th? That might be a holiday. What's that? Because November 11th is. We're close to 13. Okay, so we do have the option of. We could move it to November 6th and we're trying to make a few decisions, so it's a bit of a shorter time, but. There are a few, quite a few follow-ups that are needed, so should we try for November 6th? November 2nd. Because otherwise we're looking at the 9th. Sarah?
It's probably better to do it the 6th because otherwise our timeline in February is really good.
Yeah, and we should be looking at launching the Christmas campaign, basically. Making final decision on that. Everybody be okay with November 6th? Same time, we're keeping more beer than this. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Very good then. So we're ready for adjournment, unless there's anything else from members of the committee? Not seeing anything urgent. So I'll call for adjournment. Move in second, please. Jim moves, Sarah seconds, all in favor? That's carried. The meeting is adjourned. Have a lovely evening. Thank you for your commitment to the Terrace Lodge Comforts of Home campaign to be continued. Have a good
Thank-
evening.